So welcome to part 3 of this video topic on secret societies. What I hope will become apparent, now this works like a pyramid structure, that you will have many at the apprentice level, i.e. the truth seekers, the love and light, which then moves to your craftsman's level, those that can sort of walk it and talk it with the information. But can they really? Are they still triggered? Can they take criticism? And as a little side note here, if there is anything I've said in any of these videos that you don't understand, or don't feel you're being foolish, I welcome you to say, can you explain that better? Because the fault would be upon me. I take the full responsibility that I haven't said it well enough. So anything that you don't feel you've got from these videos, then you don't have to leave a comment. You can contact me direct via email if you feel, oh, everybody's going to laugh at me. But that's just your perception. I won't laugh at you, and you won't get an egoic defense of, oh, so you don't like what I'm saying, or that kind of thing. It's like, I welcome that, because it's honing the craft. So in a way, you could say I'm at the craftsman level, but I'd like to think that I'm at a certain level of the master level, that I've moved into that next step of doing what is called the internal work, where I can come across things I dislike, or I have less preference for, but I'm not going to react with an attack. I'm going to be able to digest it and weigh it up inside. This is what the master level is all about. It's being able to take the criticism, because they are just perspectives of another. I made a little, just under 3-minute video short demonstrating. Ooh, he said demonstrate, it contains the word demon. Well, again, it's perception. A demon is showing an opposite perspective, so it is not incorrect to say demonstrate. There is a whole thing with words, obviously, because words have power. But it is about internalizing everything. Through various stages of this, you will also experience what I describe as an instant soul recognition, or an instant frequency recognition, where before any words are even said, you instantly recognize that that other being is on the same frequency. And bear in mind, we are both receivers and transmitters. In the physical sense, I'm showing this right now because from experiences, from things I've listened to, looked at, thought about, I'm a receiver. And through a YouTube video, I'm also a transmitter. So I'm broadcasting as well. And it is a broadcast thanks to the wonders of the internet. It's not all bad. There's always contrasts. So the master level is all about doing that internal work. It is all an inside job. It is finding the balance. It is almost an awareness of your own nerve endings and feeling that something's touched a nerve, but not reacting in an aggressive ego defense way, but of saying, there's a little trigger, I need to do more work. You can get emotions come up. Don't deny them. Don't try and suppress them. Don't try and suppress the pain. Let it flow. So what level would I say I'm at, really? I'd say I'm a work in progress, to be honest. there's bound to be things that I haven't encountered yet, experiences I haven't gone through. But the armour that I wear is the awareness, because what you're wearing is you. If we look at the word aware, it consists of two parts, AW and ARE. The R, which is in the moment, it's where we are, which leaves AW, which is all, which could also be spelt as AU, which is the atomic code for gold. So it's about finding the gold within. Artistically, this can be depicted as a halo, or this Jesus character with a sort of vague, sort of humanoid sort of outline, but just golden light all around. It is a artistic rendition of what you will see energetically at different levels. Body language is another big one as well, and this can often come through, especially at the apprentice level, but generally not with the awareness of it. If you start talking about certain conspiracies, the body language of those that are receiving that information, which may seem totally alien to them, so that in a way you have like an alien invasion, you're upsetting their world, and they won't like it, or may not like it. You may find very few are actually open to this new information, because it sits in conflict for what they think they know. And this is very much a process with this. So I could say things now like flat earth, Tartaria, Cabbage Patch children. All these things are stories, and a lot of them are put out there for this divide and conquer. But the divide needs to be addressed inside to bring about the United States within oneself. See, again, that's reflected externally. You've got a collective series of states with their own individual laws, like countries in their own, or nations in their own rights, but collectively under a banner of United States. So again, there's a perfect external reflection to take internally and create the United States inside oneself. By taking all these things in, it is fully an inside job, and you'll find that you are on Middle Earth, taking that middle path between what is presented in the external and what comes up as feeling in the internal. As Neville Goddard says, the secret is in the feeling. There's a secret society that is most numerous. It's what we secrete to our society of cells inside ourselves. I've said on video before that I am a member of a secret society. It doesn't matter what the name is, but I also want you to consider something else here. If we are in a realm that repeatedly shows contrasts and duality, I would suggest that within what most would see as the elite, the control system, that there is a benevolent aspect to it that has to be very careful in the way it puts the information out. It can come through in songs. It can come through it in all manner of things. It's whether we have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. You can also use a measurement in this reality called time. Again, internally, look back at where you were a year ago, or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago. If the scenario that you're in at the present moment had happened 5, 10, whatever years ago, how would you have responded? Would you have reacted? I would suggest that the position you're at now, your response would be very different than had it may have been all those years ago. So you've got a way of measuring your own development, your own spiritual growth throughout all this. It's not about going out into the world and saying, look at me, I'm an ascended master, this sort of thing. I don't know if that can really be achieved in this physical reality. I feel part of this experience comes down to you come into this world with nothing and you go out of this world with nothing. The going out of this world with nothing is going out of this world with nothing physical. But what you are taking out of this experience is the experience. That is going back to a unified state, which we can call the Creator, you can call it God. At the most basic level, there is a pattern here. Would you build a kit sports car, whether you actually manufactured all the pieces yourself or whether you just bought in the tyres, the axles, the engine, and you put it all together, are you just going to sit and look at it? Or that thing that you've created, in this case a sports car, are you not now want to have the experience of how fast can it go? How well it will, how quick can I put it into the bends safely without it rolling over? And you have to test it. So we're actually creating inside ourselves a sort of metaphorical sports car, and we are testing it within ourselves, which will reveal to you through all these gauges of measurements of where you are on these sort of 3 degrees. But it would be nice if we can move beyond that level of round the table where there's now more than one conversation going on, because what invariably will happen is, and you can witness this, the one that is talking now has somebody else talking, so there's generally an increase in volume because you want to be heard amongst the herd, as it were. So part of this expanded consciousness is very much expanding within oneself. So there is no physical change on the outside, but you're expanding on the inside because you're stepping into different aspects of yourself, of being the one on the couch, the one that is listening and prompting the questions, the one that is observing it all as well. So this is, just to conclude here, we're nearly up to 15 minutes. This has worked out quite well. I'm not going to get into the numerology of this, but secret societies, just look at the word, the etymology, it's something that is secreted, which is brain secretions. The society is inside yourself. It's something that you're tying yourself to. It's finding your true self inside yourself. You're unlocking it. You're finding, it's a process of finding that internal light inside yourself. Being able to go out into the world without being affected in a negative way, to be more in a position of neutrality and balance, not being sucked into picking a side, falling down the well of those rabbit holes, but being able to recognize the patterns with all of these things by asking those internal questions, by being an observer of those around you, being able to respond and to be able to do it in a non-aggressive way with perhaps enough of a trigger that is more thought-provoking than is going to get a reaction of aggression against yourself, because again you're stepping into that sort of Ewok position. So you are actually creating order out of the chaos. Again, that is reflected. You're creating a one world government. If you don't think that already exists, well, I'd ask you to consider the world of legal. And all these attorneys, judges and things all go to London and cross the bar. And they all operate basically as a one world government. It's already here. It's being able to weigh up what is being presented. So another example is Agenda 2030 is often talked about, implying that it's something that's going to happen in the year 2030. But again, if you look at the pattern, often it revolves around the number 11. So I would suggest it is something that is started in the year 2020 that runs for 11 years until 2030. There is an agenda to it all, and you'll also find there's such a thing as a transgender agenda, but again, look at what is being reflected. It's a very simple message of things are not the way they appear to be. There is value in everything. There is an art in everything. You don't have to like the particular thing. Or you can have a certain neutrality to it. I'll give you a personal example of this. Take the film Vertigo or Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock. It has a soundtrack to it. Very effective. But to me that is just like painting by numbers. It might sound, in this case, pretty good. It might add atmosphere. But it's not original creation because it relies on having a picture to then fit music to that picture rather than the composer actually coming from a place of originality, as it were. It's just my perception. Because art is subjective and we are looking at all different subjects and we are subjected to many things as well. Some we may agree with, some we may not agree with. But again, look at what the material world shows you. Consider the countries that are classed as neutral, and in the material sense, how they would seem to be the most prosperous because they do not pick a side. There is great value to be learnt in what is being shown, and I would suggest this is evidence of this benevolent factor in what most people would see as a control system that is actually evil, which always seems to revolve around a secret society. But there are many secret societies. Some are benevolent, some are malevolent. It's about discernment and being able to look at these things but then weigh them up inside, being in that sort of middle earth state, taking that middle path between what is going on externally and what is, more importantly in a way, is what is going on internally. Are you still in that place of being an Ewok, a woke person, and just shaking a spear at something that has a far greater way of responding or reacting to that, as it were? So I hope that has given you plenty of thought-provoking ways of looking at these things, and also introducing you to, when you hear things like secret society, how the tendency is to always think of Freemasons, Rosicrucians, Illuminati, and all the rest of it. But what about the positive ones that are never mentioned? The ones that are working in the unseen? And I would suggest as evidence of this, when you take these stories that are put out about some that sort of have made it in as a celebrity, how they can often go off the rails, I would suggest that it is because they have entered into a tacit agreement. They've signed the contract, they've made the deal with the devil, as it were, probably by deception, with good intentions. Because don't forget, you have a business that is always looking for creativity, it is always looking for talent to exploit and use for, shall we say, more sinister intentions. But I would also suggest that that benevolent factor within secret societies is guiding humanity, and it is stepping into a role of a prodigal son in which it has made mistakes. But if you have the concept of there being a God that is all loving and all forgiving, surely that positive aspect that is very having to go very careful in the way things are put out to the collective without coming to any sort of harm to themselves, their own self-preservation, that they are playing that prodigal son part, and they will be forgiven because they are trying to guide humanity as best they can. I feel this comes out in such as Roger Hodgson with the Logical Song, or a lot of the Dire Straits songs. They seem to be very Gnostic messages that are being put out there. But whether we have the perception to see it, and that will depend very much on whether we are at that apprenticeship level, that craftsman level, or that master level in things. So I think that concludes this series of videos on secret societies, and again, it is all about perception. What do you consider is a secret society? So if we take the truth-seeking movement as a representation of a secret society, well, who really is at the top? Who's running the show? Where is all this information coming from? I do find it amusing when you get these leaked documents that sort of seem to filter through the internet, this story like white hats against black hats. How could that filter through when it seems quite clear that the internet is very much controlled? So how can that be a leaked document, for example? It's put out there for a reason. It may well be leaked from the benevolent side, but it comes down to the discernment, which will only really come by doing that inside job, weighing things up inside ourselves, not being triggered, not going to an extreme one way or the other, not being lured into picking a side. This is why I like the term that archaics use, errants, because we are an ant that is an error to the program in this simulation, and my own experience to go your own way brings far greater rewards. It certainly brings a contentment. Don't get me wrong, it brings challenges. It'd be something wrong if it didn't when we're in a realm that shows contrasts, after all. But more valuable contrasts that I find are more benefit, with less stress and less ambiguity about them. I think that's the best way to sort of summarize all of this. So we'll leave that there. It just came to me, summer eyes. So we're seeing everything's good when we summarize, when we can take this broad picture and we can paint a picture about things like secret societies. So with that, now we've reached 24 minutes. That's the end of this little mini-series of what's turned out to be 3 videos. So I hope there has been something of value that you can now take away from this. You can internalize. It's not for me to say you should, you could, or you would, or you must. It's for you to come to that conclusion, because it is all going on inside oneself. Weigh it up for yourself. Is what is said here of benefit to you, or can it benefit you? Can it give you a new perception, a new way of looking at things, showing you a contrast to what is often presented from the external world? So with that, as always, unconditional love to you all.